Hello. Hello. mic, communications, lights, action! Wee!
Hello, how y'all doing?
Hello, welcomes. Welcome.
Nice.
They can hear me. Excellent. So yeah, Jason, thank you for being at the stream first. We got Trumpet Collins on my side. We got Code. We've got Night Sky. Shout out to Sky, always saying a woo in any art piece I share. Who you got on your side?
So I've got Calvin, I've got Bluestone. Calvin's now getting eaten. Yum.
Mm.
I got Brim. Although that Vort emote doesn't work when I've got my my belly out in full screen.
Well, you could just do the mall belly. Like that's a thing.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Also, Esteban, how you doing?
Which one's Esteban?
Estamilk.
Estamilk. And they're known as Esteban.
Estabamilk.
Estabamilk. Radio.
I'm never probably going to be able to say that correctly. Oh, the cake cam didn't work. I think when people activate the belly cam and then the cake cam too quickly, it messes up.
I could, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, you got a large time for like the cake cam.
Yeah, I think I need to. Oh, excuse me. Oh no. See, this happens whenever somebody activates it. It breaks and then all of a sudden goes back to the previous camera from before.
Oh, interesting.
So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to fiddle with that a little later. And what I'll have to do is when the belly cam activates, it cuts the cake cam for a few seconds. And then when the cake cam activates, it cuts the belly cam for a few seconds, just to stop the thing from crashing itself.
Not fair enough. Oh, I gotta turn on a source. Twitch stream together. There we go. Hope I don't get a cavity search. Good luck with security, Trumpet Collins. Also, my lights are like really dim. Maybe that's the reason.
Cavity search.
He's in an airport.
Search my cavity, daddy.
How dare you? How dare you be so? How dare you be so horny? We're not even 15 minutes in.
Hey, I'm horny like 24/7. You know this.
Curse the hornies.
This is what you get when you signed. This is what you get when you signed up to doing this with me.
Apparently, now, yes. This is what I get. But yeah, it's been a like a full like week plus since we've gone through Baldur's Gate 3, hasn't it?
I know. So last time we were just getting through. We just did the first battle over at the Last Light Inn. And now we've got to go and try and find the stuff to try and remove the curse.
Yes. Okay. So the curse thing, I am not like 100% familiar with, or something, or rather. But you're
a few bits and bobs on it. I know only very little. I know that from the quest lines we've been given from Halson, that we need to find a young boy who has who has, gotten the curse and has spread it throughout the area. And we also need to find a way to awaken the guy who's comatose on the bed, because he's the only one who can help us find the boy. I believe we need to find something that belongs to the guy, an instrument or something like that, because he's a bard, which should help wake him up. But that's all I know. I don't know where it is. I don't know how we find it. That's the only thing I know.
Alrighty then.
Also, hello, Onyx. Sorry, I did see you there.
Hi, Onyx. I'm over in my stream.
Yeah, he's over on his lame stream. We're here over on the fun, cool stream.
We can both be fun. Also, I need to change my shirt. I forgot to do that. Hang on a second. I need a. There's a theme.
He needs everyone to know that his D20s are all natural. I think they're silicon.
Look at these.
Ow.
Look at these naturals. What did Trumpet Collins say? Literally stopped at the Goblin Fortress. I want to get back into it, but I've lost a lot of motivation. That's
Aw.
fine. Like, the game has been out for 5 months or something crazy like that, hasn't it now?
Something close to that. I would not be surprised if we see some expansions soon too.
Well, I don't think they're going to do expansions, but I think they will do, like, you know, because they did it like a Christmas post recently, so I imagine they'll do something like that. So,
Or even like not like expansions, but like quest add-ons and stuff like that.
yeah, okay.
Reasons to go back to visit different locations.
Yeah, between Acts 1, 2, and 3. Which we haven't yet got into Act 3 yet. We're still on Act 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, Esteban's all like, I don't know, this has more thick booty, so, you know. Fun stream.
Oh. The audacity.
I mean, Grant, look at the cake I got here. Look at all of this. You know, look at that cake that I've got showing right here. And then, you know, compare it to your, like, cake. Quotation mark.
Uh-huh.
You got barely any booty. I'm sorry, Grant. I hate to have to tell the truth like this, but, you know.
Disrespectful. Alrighty then. So, we... Dear viewers...
All the disrespect.
Actually, hang on a second. What am I carrying?
Oh, I was like, why am I still in black screen there? I was like, oh, that's because I haven't clicked on the game yet.
Okay, so you're back in the camp. I'm gonna... Because you want to do a rest, right?
Well, you wanted to do a rest, and then you were about to flirt with,
I wasn't going to flirt.
You were gonna flirt with Astarion.
No.
To keep going.
It's just Astarion apparently has something important to talk about with me.
You're gonna flirt with Astarion.
Hang on a second. Where's the
Someone gets to stop at security checkpoint. The guards tell them to open their mouth. A micro is put inside their cheek, their teeth. It's a cavity search.
Alright, I gave the owlbear a pet, and now Astarion wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
You know, I feel a connection between us.
Is that so?
Like we're two souls walking the same path. You might be a little naive in the ways of the world, but I see promise in you. Ambition.
I thought you hated me.
Such a strong word. We have our differences, but we don't have to, do we? I just worry that we're not considering all our options when it comes to our uninvited guests. How many people are infected with them, do you think? Hundreds? Thousands? And they're not just goblin trash. There are powerful people in the worm's thrall. Whoever's waiting for us at Moonrise Towers controls it all. But if we can take that control from them...
Oh, god damn it, Astarion.
Imagine the power we'd wield.
Hey, Fire, how you doing? Hey, Fire Golza.
Until we transform into mind flayers, you mean?
That's just the thing. If we control the parasites, then we can order them not to change us. All the power, with none of the tentacles. I'm just saying, there's an opportunity here. If we can control the tadpoles, we can keep ourselves safe. And liberate the world from this evil.
Liberated into your power.
No, absolutely
So much for thinking
not.
you had ambition. Still, we're not there yet. Maybe you'll see the light.
All the power, all the free chicken. Chicken.
Chicken. Oh, hang on. Chicken.
Chicken.
We would like to take a moment. Ah! All our food keeps blowing up. Honestly, I thought that was a Team Fortress 2 sound
I
clip.
thought it was too, but it comes from something else, doesn't it?
It comes from Arby's.
Why does it come from Arby's?
Because they partnered up with CSGO Esports. But it's not that 7 seconds short.
Place.
What the hell?
Such a path
What
to
the?
escape. Free of predators, annoyances, Obligations.
What?
1. Accepted, of course. We made a bargain, sweet stuff. And I've come to collect.
Oh.
Excuse me while I F5 this and I run... No deal, but I'll pay you twice what I owe you next time.
You think my mind's so flaccid? I will crack your bones and suck their marrow.
Shit. They are so close together. Oh, jeez.
Wizard time, motherfucker! Fireball!
There was no question with that. You were just like, it's wizard time. Hang on a second. I'm pretty sure I have a scroll that can do something.
Oh, I have one too. It's called Fireball!
Oh my god. It's wizard time, motherfucker! Wait, hang on. Can I not, like... Oh... Here we go. Fireball!
That was finished pretty quickly.
We just didn't want to mess around. We were just like, it's wizard time! Alright, so we've got the Warped Headband of Intellect. It sets the wearer's intelligence score to 17. The enhancement has no effect if their intelligence score is higher without it. The Diary of Lump the Enlightened.
A salami. Let me check his brothers. A whole chicken. Not sure what he was gonna do with that whole chicken.
Eat it.
And this one's got a pig's head.
Also send it to camp. Now that I see truth, I can scarcely remember a time before. At first, I thought it the human's thin flesh that bestowed this gift, but I've come to believe it was the circuit she wore. There was crunch in that shoe. Day 4. The goblin boss, Dor Ragzalin, made a tantalizing proposal. Spare any prey bearing his new god's brand, and feast on the rest. He offered considerable coin in return.
So, also, Esteban, that was Lump the Enlightened and his two brothers. Basically, at one point, we hired them to be our little bodyguards if we blew a horn, and they'd come to our rescue.
Mm-hmm.
But each fight, they would add more and more money to what they wanted us to pay them in order to keep helping us. And I think if you get 5,000 gold, there's actually a scene where they'll lick and kiss your arm.
I don't believe you. That sounds made up. Alright, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool, I got 8 of those. And...
Lump the Enlightened kiss.
Alright, back to bed we go.
Let the ogre lick you. Lump the Enlightened.
Also, hi there, Het Video. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the head pats. Alright, what are your people saying? Actually, I'm gonna move you guys over here and then make this thing smaller. There we go. Now I can, like, see you side by side. Alright. Who would benefit from a headpiece thing that gives you minimum 17 intelligence?
I don't honestly know.
Still alive. So that's progress.
Also, I'm going to send you over the video, Grant, so you can have a look.
So, because I've got...
When you pay them, he actually asks for a lick of your arm, because he wants to taste your meat.
Ah.
I'll pop it in gaming chat as well for anyone who wants to see it in my Discord, so if you guys want to check it out, go to my Discord, go to the gaming chat, and the video is going to be there for anyone who wants to see it, so... Discord right there for anyone on my side, so come over here and you can check it out.
+2 saving throw against spells and a +1 con bonus. it might be worth upping my intelligence. Because it's 8 right now. Although charisma is probably the better one to improve.
Yeah, but you're a monk. Do you really need intelligence?
I could benefit from the intelligence.
Well, hang on. I think the only characters that benefit from intelligence are the likes of Gale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because his intelligence is 16.
So you'd only get, like, a benefit of 1.
Yeah. Wisdom is 10. Let's see, who else?
Wait, isn't, what's the Mahoozies, hang on, Trickery Domain.
No, Shadow Star is,
Why is...
she's Wisdom.
She gets +3 from profi... Oh my god, why is her... Oh wait, she gets it from Wisdom. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Will gets it from Charisma as well. So yeah, the only one that really gets it, although Halson, I think, is intelligence-based. I saw the lick and I love his voice.
Hello.
I'd love to see you draw some characters from Dungeons and Dragons, Esteban.
Alright, I'll hold on to the neck thingy then until Halson pops up. Sound good?
Okay, and then we'll have a look. If not, then it's yours.
Sounds good, because I'm getting a +2, because I feel like the +2 to spell save thingy-majiggy is still helpful. And plus it's giving me a +1. Alright,
Code
so...
could definitely do with more intelligence. I am a wizard, I am a sorcerer, motherfucker. I don't need no intelligence. I'll roll on charisma, bitch.
Fucking charismas. Alrighty,
Got a problem
so...
with my charismatic charm.
Find Raphael in the Shadow-Cursed Lands. Travels to Baldur's Gate for the Githyanki. Rescue Zariel's asset from Moonrise Tower. Travel with Karlak. Daughter of Darkness. Where is the Shadow-Cursed Lands? Hang on a second.
Yeah, so we don't need companions. Yeah, Shadow Curse Lands.
So to wake up Art.
Forge.
So to wake him up, they said they found Art's last orders to investigate the House of Healing. If we follow in his footsteps, we might learn more about him. And
all right.
the House of
Okay.
Yeah, it's the map there. So
Yep, I see it right here. So I think we go out, down, and to the east.
All right.
And now don't forget to take something with the light too.
Oh geez, I wonder what can cast a light.
Too dark to tell.
Well, I'm just saying, because Shatterstar's immune.
Close.
Yep.
Watching us.
Oh,
You mean to
are you
reach
gonna cutscene
Moonrise? And I've orders to help you. The path to the towers is drenched in blackness so deep, even a torch cannot quell it. Yet, the cultists have found a way to move freely. Whatever this method, you must claim it. A cultist convoy crosses the land as we speak. I've readied an ambush. Say the word, and we fly.
Maybe keep them here for now. Wait here,
My
I need
feet are
time to
planted
prepare.
deep till you return. But don't tarry. The greater the opportunity, the shorter its visit.
Huh.
Yeah, we don't want to risk them going out if we can't do anything about them.
Quiet.
Wait, what did right? Luckily, I can't go to work today because of my fever, so you're here to watch. Well, hopefully your fever dies down and you don't have too big of an issue. All right, so we go.
Yeah,
Seth.
this way.
All right. Meow.
The cultists are taking a bus. Funny enough, I am drawing 2 characters from Baldur's Gate from a... Ooh, which characters? Do tell.
Oh yeah, we already saw all these peeps before.
Yeah, but did we rob them, though?
Yeah, basically, because a lot of them said empty, except for 2 of them.
So the House of Healing.
Which is a bit of a ways. Oh,
Standing
True
torch?
Soul Corliss.
Sorry, the commissioner owns the characters. I posted it on your channel. Okay, let me have a look. Ooh, a couple of Dragonborns. Love it.
Ooh. Journal log of the True Soul. What's-a-Mafoozies. Day 4.
House of Code's butt. Hey, if there was a house of my butt, then it'd be a very, very terrible place to live in. It'd be stanky.
It'd be cramped.
Nah, there's plenty of room in my butt. Wait.
Alright, I'm gonna pick up the water and the healing.
Okay, so hang on.
So,
Prime spot for an ambush.
measles.
Oh, yeah. Measles, the fuck are they?
They got dark vision. They're looking to do an ambush. They are humanoids with an AC 14, and they're
Breathe quiet. Move with care.
I can't be surprised though either, don't forget.
Oh, fair enough.
That might be worth a look. Swift as my feet can
Movable
carry
brick.
me.
Potter's chest key.
Oh, there was a
Just
chest just over behind here I saw.
Did you unlock it?
Breathe deep and move.
No,
Was it from a pottery person?
it's Potter's chest.
Where does it say that? This is me wondering where the chest is.
Grant, I'm pinging it for you.
I don't see it.
Can't you just... Oh, wait, why you don't have my screen up?
Oh, okay. Well, we got to get through those guys anyway, so...
Also, I noticed you stopped showing my screen on your thingo too.
Yeah, no, I thought about it, and I was like, it was just duplicating, like, so... You're gonna fireball?
Bit too risky to fireball straight away. I'm wondering if I can hit all 3 of them.
Well, the good news is they're surprised. I love how they're waiting for an ambush, and it's like, surprise, bitch!
Besides your butt, I do think your stomach is quite nice, Mr. Code. Thank you very much.
Aw, thank you, Het. Code's my friend. Alrighty, let me just...
When... Remember, friends, not food. Unless you run out of food, then they're food.
Tactical.
Roar!
Rawr.
Catch my breath.
Or unless you're Onyx in this case, because Onyx is always food, apparently.
Oh, I don't have enough. God damn it. Well, many of them are surprised, so...
I mean, that was part of the reason why I did it.
Yep. God,
No,
these
don't
guys
be
are beefy.
dumb. Trident, the hammers are always good.
Alright.
Wow.
Woo!
Ooh.
14.
Jake.
Nice. I kept cutting. Bam. Garroted. I can't cast spells.
Oh, so it's kind of like, oh, he's using a wire on you or something.
Yes, they're doing funky nonsense.
Time to push my luck again.
Alrighty. Luck of the round? Sure.
I hope you feel a bit better, Het.
Yeah, hopefully so. One can hope. There we go. Dead.
Damn, he did.
He dead.
Swift
he's
as
a
my
little
feet
dead.
can carry me.
Looks like we aren't too far off from the House of Healing.
There we go. Nice.
Oh, actually, we're
It's
quite
like-
a ways off from the House of Healing.
Yeah, because we need to cross a river. Oh, God.
There's a toll house not too far from here.
Nice. How did I not get to do attack of opportunity on them?
What the hell?
The audacity. Oh, she's... Oh, they did like a teleportation thing to like... She just doesn't
her
have this
alone.
strength thing.
Bonk!
Bonk! So, just repeating everything you're saying at this point, because it's like, what else could I be possibly doing? Oh my goodness. There we go.
Stay on my feet.
Sorry, I had to move, so you may take some damage.
Whack, whack. There we go. Just get him with the old 1-2. I'll start moving
Need to find a way
towards.
forward.
Trying to rock me as well. Interesting that when garroted, they can, like, teleport us. Nice.
It looks like it was trying to take her deeper into the darkness.
That is scary if they were going to succeed on that one. Alrighty.
Okay, where's the other dude gone?
Just...
Over there.
Yeah.
Another fight.
Seriously, how do
Let's
I miss
go.
that?
With haste.
There we go. Bumps in the dark gives Karlak a inspiration.
Something the matter?
No, I didn't.
Nope, I didn't actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk to her.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I thought I talked to her by accident because I was like clicking on things as I was trying to get up to here. Jump.
Oh, I'll come over to you so you're not getting
Luminous gloves. When the wearer deals radiant damage, the target receives 1 turn of radiating orb.
Well, that would be Shadow Hearts. Her mace does radiant damage, and a lot of her stuff is radiant damage.
Oh, would you look at that? Notes and another idol of Saloon. Moon Maiden, protect those of us who would not turn from you, no matter the consequences in this short life. Keep these artifacts of our devotion until such a time as we may openly infuse our spirits with your white light once more. Grant cunning to my brother, Halfred, in his efforts to conceal the rest of your relics. Let the name Last Light not be a proponent. Let your moon glow continue forever and fill our hearts. Alright, so Halfred is hiding things.
It's a lunar idol, really? Are you in need of a paperweight?
Yes. Bonk. Oh wait.
Did you want to give her the gloves too, by the way?
Yeah, I did give her the gloves. They're in her inventory.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's because like only you're able to like manipulate her gear and what have you.
So hang on. Let me just have a look quickly before we run off.
No, that's okay. That's good.
Absolute Bane when you hit possible inflict penalty. No, so Luminous Glove, I think are the better ones.
Yeah, because what was her gloves previously doing?
Absolute Bane. On hit with a weapon attack, possible to inflict 1d4 penalty on attack rolls and saving throws.
Oh.
I'll send that to camp.
Harper interrogation script. Kaladove Everspring on as transcribed by Luna Shorn. Your name? Doll timber, ma'am. Occupation? Farmer, ma'am. Potatoes. A farmer? How many guards has Thorm stationed at the south wall, Doll Timber? What do you mean, south wall? Do not play the fool with me, Timber. The Moonrise south wall. I don't know. I swear it. Liar. Write that down, Luna. Thorm's spies refuse to cooperate. Harsher measures required. Pause. I said write it down.
Do you have any thieves' tools? There's a chest over here.
Yes, I do. Hang on a second. Ooh, a black...
Oh, hello, Ginger. Can I get someone to give a shout-out to Ginger Fox VT, please?
Yep, can do. Ding, ding, dong, ding, 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 bang, ba, bam. There we go. Do, 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 do. Yeah, advantage +8. This is gonna be ease. Nice.
Ginger's such an awesome bean. They're such a cutie bean. They play a lot of good stuff.
They're such a cutie. They went through Super Mario Galaxy. How was that?
I actually haven't played Galaxy yet. That's actually one of the few games I've played from the Mario series.
What, you haven't played? Oh, I played like a little bit.
I have yet to play Galaxy. I have yet to play Galaxy.
All right, the good news is we can cross this place from here, it seems.
Okay, that'll make things a little easier. I was a little bit worried we would have to go all the way around.
We'd have to cross Moonrise Tower if we wanted to as well, which would be a problem.
Dark, strong here. This torch is useless.
Damn. I should have protection. I should have Saloons. There we go. Protects the lesser offense of the shadow curse. Even her light cannot guard against the darkest shadows. So, should be.
So we need to then find the other things then.
Oh, there's a thingy-majiggy there, an arcane signet. So maybe. Maybe we should have Saloon follow us. Shadowheart, sorry. Oh my god, Ginger Fox, thank you for the follow! Wait.
No, even she's suffering from it.
Oh. That's odd.
Right, let's get out. Let's get out. We need to get out.
Well, no, we have to go through this.
No, we have to find a way to go through it.
But we...
It won't let us go. It'll kill us if we're in there for too long.
Oh, we were hit with necrotic damage. Oh, okay.
I've got a long road ahead.
How
So we need to find, because there was that group of cultists, remember?
What's cooking?
Oh, they, like... Yeah, hang on.
While I'm at it.
So we may need to go back over to there and...
Well,
You know, do the ambush.
Yeah. Hang on. Might as well just travel to the last light in.
Alright, fine. Thank you for the head pets. Thought I was already following you. Darn Twitch. It's okay. Not everyone knows who I am. I am Grant, a variety himbo streamer.
Will we make it home?
Burning through our oil, but it should just about do.
It ain't pretty, but it can take a beating.
What path lies before me?
It'll need to.
Alright, let's talk to...
Magic won't hold out the dark.
Harper Manus again.
Say the word, and we set the ambush in motion.
Let's take on the convoy. You lead, I follow.
Splendid. I'll mark your map should you lose the way. Harper's with me. Stray no more than an arm's length from your course.
Just gonna follow them.
Mm-hmm. Easiest way to go about it.
We're closing in.
I wonder how many of these people are going to die because they can get too far away.
Probably not that many.
Ooh, look at all that darkness.
Well.
Oh, Esteban says, I love you, Yakuza 0 playthrough, Grant.
Oh, thank
Still
you.
Need to hop onto yours when you play it.
Not to worry. I will probably get into Yakuza... Ooh, Cookie for Het. Hopefully their flu gets better. I will most likely get through Yakuza on Monday evening. So around this time, but on a Monday for me.
Okay.
Alrighty. Seek protection from the... Alright. Where do they want us?
Okay, so we gotta talk to the Harpers at the... We gotta talk to the Harpers at the ambush site. So,
yeah, Harper Branthos.
We bring more to your church every day, my
Ooh.
queen.
Oh.
Go. We'll wait for your signal.
Fucking disgusting.
Your
spiders.
will stand ready, Majesty.
so that's a spider person.
Soon.
Wait, those were the people that we were gonna be.
Soon the world will bow to you.
Lol.
Yeah.
They're evil.
Boss. Something moved up there. Want me to drag it out?
Clear your throat to make yourself known. Let's see. Let's see if
What's this?
The Drider's eyes cut
Ooh.
through the darkness, locking on you as your parasite squirms with excitement. Your minds connect, and you hear a voice whispering to you.
Ooh. Oh,
The
thank you for the
absolute,
resub,
or
Kyrian.
just the echoes of his fractured mind reverberating in the darkness.
One of your true souls, my queen. How have they survived?
I
I
burn.
burn with pure arcana.
How-
How on earth have you survived?
That's a good one.
Our goddess protects us. We carry her sacred light to drive back the shadows. Yes, Majesty. Your light can shield another of your faithful. They will join us on the road.
Well, that lantern is mine by order of the Absolute. Drop it or I'll boil your brain inside your skull.
Very intimidating. Excellent work. Oh, are you doing a roll?
Yeah, it's a roll.
Would you want me to quick save?
If you want a quick save, I mean, we can just probably kill him if we don't.
Yeah, no.
If we don't get it anyway.
Fair enough, and the fight will be a lot of fun.
But I've got advantage anyway.
All right, let's see how you do.
Yes, queen!
Woo! Nice.
Majesty, is this true? Did I not serve you well?
Also, this doesn't get used a lot, but I'm gonna hit Ginger with the horny bat.
Very well.
One smash.
Watch this.
If it is your will, we can have it.
Good. You may go now.
What do you mean, go?
We can't go without you. The shadows will tear us to pieces.
This is not Her Majesty's will.
Oh, maybe we should attack him instead.
You want to attack him?
Yeah.
Treachery! Blasphemous in the dark!
At least now he's dropped it, so we can pick it up now that he's dropped it.
Yep. Oh my god, fucking damn it.
Oh, this guy's bad news.
Well, to be fair, I didn't have a lot of health when I started this, so...
Cannot harm... Wait, cannot harm Sanctuary?
Yeah, he's currently running Sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
So, affected entities cannot be targeted by enemy spells, or however, it can still take damage from spells that influence a larger area. So basically, like, if you do, like, an AoE thing... Could you, like, help me?
Oh, you want me to help you, dude?
Yes, please. I nearly did.
Fine, I'll help you.
Thank you.
Help you die? Ah.
Alrighty.
No, I'm not that mean. No, can't. Not enough actions.
Oh, it's a bonus action. Actually, hang on. There we go. Oh, I thought we could get a surprise round, but I guess not. Shame.
No, let's go.
Nice. Nothing wrong with
Hopefully
a bit
with
of
these,
horniness.
hopefully with this many Harpers, we should be right.
I fear neither shadow nor death.
Nice. Alrighty.
So one of us is gonna have to carry that lantern, by the way.
I guess. Rawr.
Rar, 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 rar.
Rar, 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 rar.
Enjoy this.
Bam! Ooh, so close. Nice. And then... Ooh, not great.
Guard against the darkness.
Guard against the darkness. Throws a fireball.
Damn, girl.
The Harpers are doing well. Alright, so you got Betty down there. Brawler would do a thing. Kansif is over there. Cookie for Bookie! Hi there, Bookie. My chat is being a little horny.
Spirit Guardians conjures forth to protect you. Nearby enemies take radiant damage, or and their movement speed is halved. Might as well.
Oh yeah, I've got air conditioning running right now, Bookie, to try and keep me cool. Ooh! What's Spirit Guardian do?
So anything that moves within that area is gonna... best 3 months a fox to hope for. Thank you for the streak, Ginger.
Oof!
A little help, please.
Concentration's broken.
Damn.
You will die. The Absolute wills it so.
Oh no.
I am stuck within a cloud of daggers.
Alright, well no, you can teleport out, I'm pretty sure. Also, your hammer can do something. Unfortunately, the Cloud of Daggers is not a concentration spell.
Kiryu!
Kiryu just being mean to you.
Hold the fuck on. Code, read yours, and not mine. Hang on. Code did not read 12-month anniversary comments.
Oh.
It's been a year, so now I can say this. Damn you, gay. Yeah, I gay.
Oh, we're both down. That's not great.
Oh no!
Oh no! Wait, why is casting spells blocked? Oh, because of Bear Heart thing. I was hoping to like drag him out or something like, God damn it, Kiaru. You're here instead of Code, as Code was mean. Oh, and you think I'm not gonna be mean to you? Brave.
Grant's just as mean as I am to you.
Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you, Kiaru. Do not worry. You were once one of my biggest fans, but that's no longer you. That's Jason.
I think we're a little bit fucked, Grant.
Just a little bit, but it was just because of bad luck of Sanctuary going off because of the Drider, and then the Cloud of Daggers most recently. And now he has TTS. Yes, now you have a TTS bot.
Wait, can I set up the TT? Oh no, I need to set that up.
So yeah, it was just annoying because like they just threw so much shit at us and it ruined the concentration on Shadowheart. And now we have to deal with the Cloud of Daggers that's going to be there for like 9 turns. So even if we heal each other, and then he just casts Sanctuary again.
Yeah, we may need to F8 if we're not careful.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Alrighty. Alright, how do I...
I don't think there's a way to get any of us out.
Oh, ye of little faith. Oh, I wasted my help in order to... Damn it. Alright,
Come on, Grant.
just give me a minute, okay? There we go. Gives us a little bit of a barrier. Now what's annoying
Siren
is...
paid me to say since Code doesn't read my messages, and you are forced to hear mine, I have 350 mods in BG3, and I need more. What mods should I find?
I don't know. I think you're trying to play a game that's not Baldur's Gate 3 at that point if you've got 350 mods. 69.
I know Kiryu's been wanting me to mod Pathfinder to add in the 4 mod.
Silly. Oh no! Alright.
Yeah, we got taken the fuck out.
Wait, is Shadowheart like proper? Yeah, Shadowheart's proper dead.
We are all dead.
Hang on. Not yet. There is opportunity. Oh, Jesus. Alrighty, X the thingy.
Wait, oh, Karlak's still alive, okay.
You're gonna need to save me if you can.
Shadow fart, no! Also, Kiryu, stop throwing stuff at me.
Can you do anything in your stance?
No. I could probably... Can I...
Because it... Alright, so now you're hastened. And now I've got a bonus action available.
That was the only thing I could do.
No choice but to keep going.
Fair enough.
Oh no, because I couldn't use any of my... God damn it. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Point blank firebolt did not help.
Me up, quick!
Oh god. Oh, they needed a 20 to hit and they got 20. We can do this. Oh my god, they do some pretty powerful firebolts.
Strike down the blasphemous in your name, Majesty!
Alrighty. Yep.
If you wouldn't mind, stop falling over.
Go.
Has he still got Sanctuary? Nope.
Nope.
Bastard.
Yeah, there's someone right there. If you let me kill them, then... Oh, cool. Awesome. Cool. Alright, and then...
Where do I go from here?
Put him up.
I think we kind of fucked up a little bit here.
Maybe just a bit. Ah! He's got again! The fucking daggers! Oh, it is a concentration spell. There we go.
No good. Ah! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Fuck you, get hand of flamed on. Oh wait, hang on. Are you able to move Karlak quickly?
I can't, not from here. You're good.
Okay, good. I was a little bit worried I was gonna hit Karlak.
Alright.
Trying to avoid hitting her.
Survival is all that matters.
There we go.
Someone may want to save that hopper up there, by the way.
I'll head up. Can't do anything else.
For
Darn
another
it.
round.
Can Karlak do anything?
Not from here. Up!
Damn it!
Bye forever, pal.
God damn it.
Well, she's like, bye forever, pal, as if... Alright, muster?
Won't last much longer like this.
Oh, that uses a... Oh, that's dumb.
Never a dull moment.
Just get it to hit him.
Oh, that hit. Well, I got a hit, critical hit.
You can do it, Grant. Hear our only hope. Save us, Obi-Wan Grant Nobi. You're our only hope.
Let's see. Stunning unarmed does... Here we go. Stunned!
Really? Only one of those hit? I'm disappointed.
No, that's not what I want to do. Items... Oh, that requires an action. Drink this. Karlak, meanwhile. And all she can do is...
All right, one of us might want to revive Shadowfire.
Despite everything.
It requires an action to do so. Thankfully, Karnus is stunned.
I'll revive her.
I can revive her right now if you want.
All right, you revive her. I'll laser this guy.
I'm not going to last much longer.
Can I do... Oh yeah, I can do Flurry of Blows.
And you missed miserably.
This is gonna feel good.
Flurry of blows, more like flurry
Sacrifice
of,
6 meters of... Okay, maybe...
I wonder if this is worth the cost.
Cancel the end turn so I can move just to the side like so. And then Karlak just needs to move forward. And then she can do hits. Reckless. God damn you. Yes! Also, hi there, little Incineroar. Advertisements about to start in a minute for me. What about you?
Well, so much for peace.
Alright. Nice, get fucked.
Really?
Yes!
Cheer me up quick.
That lantern.
The Cruel Sting, a rare, versatile longsword.
The lantern gives off a chilly glow, protecting all in its vicinity from the surrounding shadows.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna
As if
snooze
the light
the
of the moon
advertisement.
has been captured within. Farewell until we next meet, friend. And for as long as Last Light stands, you're forever welcome.
You notice a tiny pixie trapped within. These fey creatures are infamous for their trickery. Sometimes playful, sometimes malicious.
Oh, please! Oh, golly me, oh my! You must release me or I'll die. This lantern only lights the way when I am hurting night and day.
Oh, that's not great.
Dolly thanks you for your sympathy. Now, sorcerer, kindly set me free.
I need protection.
It would be my pleasure, truly. Once I'm freed, I'll help you duly.
Alright, that's fair.
I dare not name it, newfound friend. The faintest touch could spell my end.
Finally! Been trapped in that coffin with no one but a mad rider and my own farts for company.
You can't make me go himblier than I am now,
What
though.
do I owe you?
I need to get through this shadow curse. Can you help?
Sure I can, but will I? Yeah, sure, why not?
I was about to say, that would have been very
Here.
rude.
Give this bell a shake. Speak the magic words and you'll get what you've earned. Protection from the shadow curse. What more could a dingus want?
Alrighty.
You're welcome.
Ready to smack a bitch.
She's just extra is all. It's no big worry.
Curious little thing.
Oh my god. All the harpers are dead.
And axe pop.
Almost makes the mortal peril worth it. Almost.
What'd she say? I actually didn't hear what Shadowheart just said this time.
Something about God rest their soul. Do we want to do a short rest?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Alrighty then.
Because we really got fucked on that one.
I can keep going a little longer now.
All right. Do we want to head back to the bridge thingy and then try the bell?
Let's give it a try, but firstly, let's just make sure we've gotten everything from these guys first.
Ooh, flowers. Yeah. Furry Cures woke up at a great time.
And Lily, how you doing? Kode is a dingus. I am not a dingus. Ooh.
I'm gonna run an advertisement while while you're doing all this, so like our looting and reorganization. Does that sound good?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Alrighty then.
Thermomoronic gloves. Whenever you deal fire damage, you gain 2 turns of heat.
Heat.
So, let me just examine. Heat. Engulfed by vengeful fire takes 1 point, but uses heat convergence.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm gonna take them for now.
Cookie for Furry Cures.
Lantern. That's a staff. Could be useful for the time being. Oh, no, not proficient with simple weapons or clubs.
Oh, a key.
A key to what?
I'm gonna guess the chest that's all the way down there that we might have already opened.
Oh no, Kode is in heat. I'm not in heat. Heat. Take fire damage a turn, heat convergence, remove your heat, and deal damage, bonus fire damage. So it's kind of a two-edged sword then, because I think my boots give me heat as well.
It's okay to have sleep furry cures. We've established this time and time again.
Each turn, but uses heat convergence. Is it worth then using that if I'm taking fire damage?
Do you have heat convergence to help negate the fire damage, I think is the question.
Well, no, because you gain the ability heat convergence.
Oh, okay. Alright, so it's not that
you know
chest.
What? It might be worth it then. I'll have it on. Might as well.
Alrighty then.
Do you want the braces of defense, giving the +2 armor class?
Nah, because I've already got this giving me strength +1, and plus it does the whole, you know, when, you know, doing a weapon attack, dealing additional D4 fire, and then unarmed attacks dealing D4 of necrotic. So I've already got some pretty good gloves, like, for the monk when I want to go from, like, one thing versus the other.
I'm gonna send these broken lanterns out to the camp since we don't need them anymore.
Alrighty then, sounds good.
I'm hoping this bell does the job and we haven't been tricked.
Yeah, I hope so too. Shadow root sack.
I mean, make a save maybe around here and we'll be, you know, to be on the safe side.
Yep, doing that. Is that Grant using the Hell Fusk? What? Oh.
Wait, code go in heat. You guys, it's not that type of heat.
There might be something here.
Where's here? Hang on, highlight again.
Hang on. Ding.
Where are you? Have you wandered off? Have you?
Yes.
All right, I'm coming over to you. God damn it! Can you not wander off?
Just make sure you have a good survival thingy.
Hang on, I'm coming over to you. Don't wander off. Isn't Hulldusk the Bane of Gauntlets that gives fire on weapon, necrotic, or unarmed?
Yes. Flawed Hell Dusk gloves. There we go. Oh, that can both those things can be sent to camp.
Wait, where did you get the Flawed Helldusk?
Because we gave materials to the tiefling to the tiefling blacksmith.
Oh, and he made them, did he?
Yeah, because of the spare materials we got.
Oh, those.
Them's the breaks. I don't want to spoil target.
All right. Do we want to head back to the last slide in for a second, or?
For what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe sell some shit?
Nah. No need. I dropped it. Alrighty.
Well, we're gonna need to head back that way anyway, so we can go over to the. Oh no, wait, it's just over here.
Oh yeah, there's a very obvious path here, and then we can, you know, this one. A letter of surrender.
Death gets Yankee.
General Kethric Thorm, it is with heavy heart that I must announce the surrender of the Harper forces and its allies to your Dark Justicar army under unanimous agreement. Unanimous. I was about to say unanimous. Harper work against villainy and wickedness wherever they find it, so states their code, and so here we acted. But I also know all too well how the statement continues, but they work ever mindful of the consequences of what they do. We cannot be party to the suffering of the people of Wreathwin. Hey, goddammit, I'm reading Incineroar. We cannot be party to the suffering of the people of Wraithwin, and indeed of the great loss of life that this war will visit upon the Sword Coast, and perhaps beyond it. So... God damn, I got hit again. So, it is written, and so let it be done. Kelben Arunson, on behalf of the High Harper Council and its allies, 2 words are slashed across the bottom of the scroll. Surrender declined. Not great.
Let's see. All right, we ready?
Alrighty, do you have the bell?
I've got the bell.
Alrighty then, so you cross first.
Crates and caravans. The town toll house, surely.
Oh.
There might be something useful in there. Seized goods and the like.
Let's head this way, because the House of Healing is over here.
Hang on. Oh, you try and light it and it just, like, goes away instantly. Alright, so how come we took necrotic damage back there? That makes no sense.
I don't know. I guess the fairy wasn't lying. Or the pixie wasn't lying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pixie Blessing. The Shadow Curse cannot affect thanks to the Pixie's protective magic.
Corilla is over there. Hello?
Tread carefully. You are still necessary.
Wait, who's she follower of?
That's Raphael's follower.
Oh.
Bizarre.
Alright, and then this is like a mason's thing?
See that symbol on the ground? This was a mason's guild.
Hello there, Zarex. Welcome to the stream. Alrighty then. So...
Well, thank you for your help last night, Xerix, when going through Final Fantasy.
Oh, Zarex helped you out. That's cool.
Yeah. So...
Something over there.
We are
of crushed bones of varying shapes, here lies the Grand Mason. Creatures. His bones and lies crushed bones of varying shapes, sizes, and creatures.
We're up to the trial where the dude's now fused himself to the dragon.
Okay. Wait.
So we're pretty much at the end of the Stormblood.
Oh.
Then we're just gonna go through the post-game content.
Yep. That's making... Hey, look, Infernal Iron.
Yeah.
Woot woot. Alrighty. And then
I think
there's...
we're still going the wrong way, though. I think we need to go a bit further out to the east to get to where we need to go.
Alright, so that was the Mason's thing. The Wake Up, investigate the House of Healing is off to the west. Ooh. Trap disarming tools, thieves tools, a scroll of burning hands.
Scroll of burning mans.
Burning mans. Ooh, water.
Well, at least we did, because I think as well, if we didn't release the pixie and just kept it as is, we would have had to have stayed very close to each other.
Oh, what's Mahoozies?
An ornate wooden hatch.
Yes, I just went through here. There's like an elevator.
Oh, so you've gone through the hatch.
Yes. Well, that's nice. I don't need to keep hold of the torch anymore. I can just see invisible things as they come along. And little Incineroar is wasting money on my ass. How's it going so far, you two? It is going fairly well. We got a Pixies, what's some whoosies? Ooh, and there's a Keyhole Herald.
Bit warm.
Lockpick.
Nothing!
A dexterity of 18. Alright, let's give it a try. I get a +8 bonus. I definitely needed that +8 bonus.
Just a little bit.
Nice. You're a really happy Yeen. Yay. Awesome. Note from the Mason. Congratulations on finding this place, thief, but your journey ends here. Oh.
I don't like the sound of it. I'm just gonna wait out here just in case.
Oh, ye of little confidence. We're not.
No,
we're not any. We're not any like ridiculous sort of thieves. Okay, we are adventurers on important quests. We are far more resilient than that.
All right, just be careful. That's looking like a trap up ahead.
That's curious.
Yep. Because my spider sense was tingling and told me it was a trap.
I'll wait here. Let you disarm that.
Another 18.
Is it just me or somebody sound glitchy? Oh, did Grant sound a little glitchy on my end?
Oh, did I start sounding a little glitchy is the question.
No, I think it's from the Discord thing. It should go away soon.
All right, hang on a second. Voice and video. It's using the defaults. Like it should.
No, I notice it does it sometimes. It's better now. I think it's the bit rate crunching it.
Ah, okay. Wait, was there anything in there?
No, not that I noticed.
Alrighty, and then if we open this door... Hey, it's the... more of the Mason hole. A moonrise diagram? Hang on. A carefully drawn diagram of moonrise towers. A circle of red ink draws your attention as though something has been stashed in the tower's prison dungeon.
Someone's marked a spot.
Would be useful.
Shadows.
I'll strike you down.
Oh, it does... Fire does, like, critical hits. Hang on a second. Okay, resistant to fire, vulnerable to radiant. So yeah, we should be good. Oh, there's a lot of them, and then there's a wraith down there. And the wraith is immune to necrotic and poison and doesn't get the radiant vulnerability. Where's Shadowheart?
I think maybe we gotta deal with the Shadowheart's over here with me.
All right. Oof.
Watch this.
I'm gonna hit him with radiant damage. Watch this shit. Oh wait, this isn't the one that takes radiant damage bonus. Fuck. Oh, well, I didn't use the Legend of Avaris Smite thingy-majiggy, so I am good in that department. Roar! Cookie for bookie! You don't know a lot about D&D, but I bet you will do great. Yes, I know quite a bit about the D&Ds. You ever played 3rd in 3.5 code?
I've played a bit of 3rd. Mostly, most of my, though, interactions with D&D comes from the fact that I've had a lot of the video games growing up as a kid.
Alright, just waiting on you for your extra action. Oh, you've got a number. Nice. Clever.
Oh, I'll need to use the heat convergence soon too, or else I'll suffer burning damage next turn.
Oh, hey, you don't understand. Puzzles are also used in D&D, but here's the unfortunate truth. The puzzles given in D&D campaigns are children's, like, under the age of 10 puzzles. And they have to be that because we are just that dumb in D&D. We don't write shit down often enough. Excuse me.
Alright, shot. Engulf
Nice.
it.
Other things on my mind, thanks.
Alrighty, nice. You want to bring your thingy-majiggies down here? Because there's a few guys over around here. Let's see, there's 2, 3... There's only 4 left, and they're all around where I am. Or, well, 2 of them are up here, next to the thing that's lit up. Let's see how we do against this. Bam. And boom.
Oh, dang it. Where's the other one? Dang it, Grant.
Dunk. Right next to me. These are the 2. Third one is in shadows, blending in.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you killed that one, I can't use my heat convergence on it.
Oh, sorry about that.
And I'm out of range for the others.
Just jump. There you go. Nice.
Because I need to use up some of that heat.
Nah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
So it's very much a double-edged sword, the heat thing.
Yep. Okay, so they're hiding in shadows. Get missed. Critically. Alright,
Go on.
Jump. Nah, nothing there. Whee! I think your spirit thing would find it if it went like... Oh. Alright, do you want to hit this thing if you need to?
Where is it? Right up there?
Right there.
I don't need to hit it, but I can probably hit it.
Nice.
There you go.
Yep, good thing that you did it. Nice. And then... Unarmed strength, go ba-bam, ba-bam! There we go.
That can wait.
Alrighty, now we just need to wait for the next shadow. What was it talking about? Moonrise Towers, a proficient of local fauna with special emphasis placed on areas for prolific something or other. Alright, where did it go? How the fuck did it...
That's what I'd like to know.
How did it, like, fucking run away?
Oh, can't be reanimated. Poo.
I don't know why you'd want to.
Have to keep going.
No. Do I seriously not have enough movement after that? Yeah.
Found it.
Oh my goodness. Nice. Lol, the candle is immune to fire damage.
Actually, I just lit the candle.
Boom.
Boo. Scared the ghost.
Wanted the easy path.
You can almost taste the sour ale that once clung to the soul's breath. This one hid for days. The sounds of battle.
Oh, don't forget to check the bookshelves for magic.
He didn't even care who won, so long as it ended.
There's something over here that's got to have perception.
Karlak also saw something. Hey, a scroll of Crown of Madness. It instills madness.
Move over.
Oh, there's a button here. Hey, a heavy chest, 2 heavy chests, and a lever.
Just be careful.
Scroll of Knock, Disguise Self, Misty Step, and Scroll of Darkness. Abso-fucking-lutely. Wine rack. Alright, send that to
Soft,
camp.
comfortable shoes. Gladiator sandals. Ignoble hat.
Potion of Invisibility. Potion of Speed. I'm gonna give that one to Karlak. Glorious Vaulting. Drink to triple the jump distance. I'll give that to Code. And Dark Vision. I'll give that to Shadowheart, just in case she can't see where she is going. You're about to turn into Broly. Never mind, it's on turn down. Oh, turning me into Broly. You know, if you don't want to deal with cooldowns or waiting for the effect to happen if there's another effect going off, you can, you know, use bits. You can use Cheers. Cheers.
I thought Cheers was a TV show.
Where everybody knows your name.
Knows your name.
Where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, can you go over there, Grant, please?
Go over to where? To where the, what, this gilded chest is.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let me just check this bookshelf.
Because there was a perception check here, and I failed it.
Hot foot. Place is trapped.
Glad we checked that.
Yep.
Can you try again?
Yep. That's a bit better.
Anything good inside?
I haven't unlocked it yet. I just disarmed it first.
Well, what good are you then?
I am very good. It's just a try again using thieves' tools. There we go. Better than using inspiration. A helmet of arcane acuity. Whenever you deal damage with a weapon attack, you gain arcane acuity for 2 turns and a +2, and it's a +1 to your dex saving throw naturally. Arcane acuity. Affected entity has a +1 bonus to its spells, attack rolls, and difficulty and spell difficulty class per turn remaining. So it's so it looks like it's so you get +2 arcane acuity for because of it lasting for 2 turns. Sounds something for up your alley. What's on your head?
Yes. Arcane synergy.
Alright, well, I'm gonna give you the
hang on. Arcane synergy. When weapon attacks deal additional damage equal to the affected entity's spellcasting ability modifier. Oh, I can't wear it. I'm not proficient in light armor.
Oh, that's not good.
The Shadowheart, maybe?
Makes sense.
You're a lot bloody better than that
Before
Justicar's
shadows,
helmet she's
there was
wearing.
once a happy, faded memory comes to you.
Children's laughter in
A
this
woman
one's
walking
life.
along a beach, holding hands with her husband-to-be.
God darn it,
A
little
happy,
Incineroar.
faded memory comes to you. A woman walking along a beach, holding hands with her husband-to-be.
Yeah, there was really nothing in them.
Oh, okay then.
A distant memory of a
Ow.
man stretching his back
Come here,
with
up.
a groan. Another day of hauling.
Alrighty, let's
masonry
get out of
blocks
here
down.
then. We've done all we can in this area, I feels. And there's an elevator we can use. Which...
Elevator,
elevator. I'm gonna see if I can jump to it. Not enough space? Are you kidding? Oh, we just have to click on the elevator. Oh. Oh, it's an elevator that takes us
The other side of the Masons Guild.
Yeah, it takes us onto an above floor of the Mason's Griff. Oh.
Wait, there's a kid over here.
Yeah, I just heard them as well. They're over this way. What the? Hang on. Tombstones up the wazoo, and then... Oh, hey, it's, Oh, shit. God, is this the same one?
I know you.
This is the one that got in trouble with the snake, isn't it? Oh,
Yep.
yeah, mother...
Twist him up.
What?
Hot jam, girly!
When did you get the magics?
Hey, that's Arabella. Kid from the Druid's Grove.
Thank you, Karlak.
Snake woman nearly did her in. Looks like she's learned a thing or two.
Damn, she did well.
Hello, Joshua M12.
Hi, Josh.
Sorry. Knocks the wind right out of me.
I'd be more impressed if you'd actually killed it. That's a powerful spell. Where did you learn to do that?
I took, it changed me. I can do all sorts of stuff now, not just the vines.
Oh.
I think real hard and say some loud words, and then it happens. Mostly.
Fucking sorcerer right here.
Mostly.
What are you doing out here? It's not
I was
safe.
looking for Mum and Pops. When Zevlor... Well, there was an ambush. Mum yelled, "Run!" So we ran. I could hear
Thank
him
you
run
for the head
behind
pats
me.
there, Het.
Till I couldn't. Still can't find him. But I bet you can. You'll help me, I just know it.
Yeah, I can help.
Thanks, mister. I knew you'd help me again. The vines won't last forever. I don't suppose I can stay with you. Just till you find Mum and Pops. I won't be any trouble, I swear it.
You can stay in my camp.
Oh, thanks. You're the best. So you send Mum and Pops there. I'll be waiting, hero man.
Better than
Hi there, Josh. Alrighty, so these shadow things are bound by the vines. All right.
Damn, though. I mean, that girl got some skillage.
Here lies faithful Jamie, the love of all our lives.
Ooh.
What's that?
Ooh, skeleton. With a ring. It's one of the magical pair of rings that allows the wielder to receive warded bond from a creature wearing the matching ring. Interesting. Bonded by love, the wife's diary. In the 5th year of our union, we faced the biggest hurdle yet. My parents became quite ill, and we became their caretakers. It was a dark and difficult time, filled with emergencies of every possible type. Gone were the easeful days in which our time was our own. Our days were filled with work, each other, and little else. During our darkest moments, I wondered if we'd survive it, but the bond of love we had was resilient. It could bend and bend and bend, but would not break, no matter the pressure. How sweet.
Hey, Angrel, how you doing?
Hey, what's the matter with you, Angrel? You reckon there's anything good in that sarcophagus?
Don't know. Only one way to find out.
10. Probably not like something crazy with only a lockpick of 10.
So we're grave robbing now, are we?
Boots of Apparent Death. These boots allow the wielder to cast Feigned Death once per short rest. I'll send that to camp. The moment is nigh. Harper. I can only hope Kedrick will be felled at last and Rithwin can begin to heal from this nightmare. Okay, so...
Read 100 different books in a single playthrough.
Nice! You got the achievement!
By the way, the House of Healing is over this way.
Hang on, I'm busy looking at things. Ooh, a corpse rose. What's that about? And then there's another...
What's a corpse? It's a corpse rose.
Who'da thunk?
Who'da thunk it?
Who'da thunk it? Another sarcophagus?
Grant, are you robbing people?
Ice Bite Robe. It grants resilience to cold damage and gives you the level 3 spell Armor of Agathis.
That's a sorcerer's spell.
That sounds like something to give to Code because it's cloth.
A warlock spell.
It's a clothing thing. You could do with some clothes.
Yeah, but I've got my armor that on saving throws against foes, it deals fire damage to them and grants me resistance to fire damage.
Alright, fair enough.
I'll send it to camp. We might be able to use it for one of the others later on.
Pile of bones. Moldering coffin. And there looks to be... So this looks to be the House of Healing. And...
Hey, hang on. I'm just fixing up my stuff. Give me a second. Gods, mans. Whereabouts are you?
If you head south...
I turn my back on you for like 5 seconds and you wander off.
Try to keep up, that's all.
Yep, you got a friend over there.
Yeah, no, I see him. They might be a merchant of some sort, because there's like a pouch thingy.
Doesn't look like they're going to attack you.
Oh, wait, isn't this her parents, Corinna and Locke?
Could be.
I'm gonna go talk to her.
Don't call the doctor yet. I've got potions, sutures. I know I can do this. Oh, You're a patient. This is the children's ward. Triage is back that way.
Okay.
That body she's working on. That's Arabella's father.
What is she doing to you? Why are you treating a dead body?
Dead. Merely medicated to ease the pain.
Give the corpse a subtle poke.
Give it a subtle poke.
Give it a subtle poke. +8, need 14, and I get Cat's Grace to help me out? Sure. Yay! God, advantage is... advantage is such a useful fucking thing to have inherently. I love this outfit.
I see movement. The patient's awake.
Oh, I'm tricking them.
Can you hear me?
Now that that's sorted, may I purchase some supplies?
But you're welcome to look.
Gosh darn it. Bam bam.
Got
Alright.
anything good?
Ooh, a potato scone platter.
So what are we gonna tell the young tieflings?
A purple worm toxin. It coats your active weapon with a toxin that deals an additional 1d10. Sounds good. Potion of speed. Some greater healing potions. Yes, please. Some normal ones. Yes, please. Sell the wares. Emerald. Alright, let's sell this ring. And I'll keep the bagel. So yeah. Drow
what
poison.
is she doing here?
So she's an undead. Sister Lidwin. I reckon she's doing, I don't know, something. Serpent Fang Toxin, doing 1d6 additional poison damage. A lot of poison damage nonsense.
Now, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, healer's ledger
I've
over
got
here.
to tend to my patient.
Maybe this might tell us something.
I'm getting, so someone's first time here, they're like, GrantZeebs and friends, I brought a question. How do I go to complain about to developers? I don't fucking know. I'm not one of the developers. Do you think I'm somehow, like, important to Larian Studios or some shit?
No lives.
What did you just read?
Like, did you actually read the full thing?
Where do I go to complain to developers? Lol. The Doragar, which is deep drow dwarves, get unique lines in the grove and such, but yet the deep drow gnomes don't. What the fuck? Gnome lives matter. I haven't seen a single gnome unique line. Who?
They're there, mate. They're there, mate.
Oh, like, listen to Code over here. He feels like gnome lives matter.
I mean, gnome lives really matter.
Look at the dude. Inventory. Just occurs only. No exceptions.
I mean, gnome one should be left behind.
I can't pick them up. They're too heavy.
I'll do better, and the patients will be better.
Let me talk to her. Oh, okay.
We found her parents dead. We should break the news to her at camp. So that's all they want us to, you know, do.
Hang on. I've got the lines up again. I'm going to pick something different.
Don't call the doctor yet. I've got potions. Switches. Not dead. Merely medicated.
But yeah. How's it going, Bread, besides the concern about the lack of gnome representation in Larian Studios?
I see now they're sleeping peacefully. I think your work here is already done. Terrible code. Oh, well, come on. It wasn't that bad. Gnome lives matter.
Wait, is Gnome Lives Matter supposed to be a joke? What? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think it's a meme or something.
Alrighty then. Oh, here's a question for you, chat. Are mermaids a persona?
I made gnome.
Gnome.
So what should I say? The patients are definitely dead. Been dead for a while, judging by the smell.
You do you.
The patient is asleep. The sedative is quite strong, you see.
I see now. They are sleeping peacefully. Have fun.
Friendship again?
Friendship?
Oh, just.
Damn.
Yes. Yes. I knew these hands would not fail me.
Alrighty.
Damn. Okay, should we go to the camp?
Ooh, staff betting pool. A foreign body must be lodged in redacted cavity. Once a guess is made, it may not be made again. Minimum bet 1 gold. Round 1. Lidwin said a chicken egg. Cinda said a wine bottle. Huna said a carrot. Vanessa said a candlestick and was the winner, while Anya said an ogre's finger.
Oh, I see something in the next room as well.
Okay. What's in this one? Oh, a lot of dead bodies and shit like that.
I'm gonna have a look
Oh,
over
hey, it's
here.
Sister Cinda. She was one of the people that made a bet.
Here to see the doctor? Are we poorly? Are we desperately poorly?
I think you're fine.
Not so well. But well enough to wait. Join the line, and you will be seen. Be patient. Be well.
Depends. Alright, so we're looking...
Here to see the doctor? Oh, not so well. But well enough to wait.
Did they just put us back here, waiting in line?
They did.
Wait.
You're not sick. Oh, not so well. But...
Okay, I think we need to go back around the back end.
Hang on a second. Candle.
Oh, hello, Natty.
What do you think are the chances that if we are, like, unwell, that she will actually let us go sooner?
I don't know.
Alright, can I use this brazier? Nope, it goes away almost instantly. Shame.
Listen, the psionic detector. Gith Yankee are lurking nearby.
Shadow Cursed Dwarf, Human, Mastiff. Okay.
Do we want to head back to camp quickly and talk to the girl?
She might be upsetties though. Do we want to?
I mean, we're gonna have to break the news to her at some point.
Yeah, but not right now. Alrighty then, cool. Alright, so this is another way in. Then we go upstairs.
Hang on. Whoop. Up the stairs.
Nothing happens. Okay. Witness the solace of Lady Whispers with each slice.
I went upstairs.
Did it actually do anything useful upstairs?
There's a door up here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hang on.
It just takes a second.
Fair enough.
Get everyone standing on it.
Press G so then we're ungrouped. Shadow Heart.
Get Karlak on it.
Yep.
I'll press the button up here.
Yep.
Let's get going.
You might want to grab Karlak.
Yeah, she'll follow us.
Can you...
Yep, I'm doing it. I'm on it. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my thing.
Angril's also recommending we save before apparently going down there too. I knew you're doing your thing.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Death and Divinity. A Godly Guide.
Ooh, chest.
That's a lot of rules I am not going to read.
There's a chest over here that requires lockpicking.
Mm-hmm. Lockpick. There we go.
Anything good?
Heart-shaped rock. Feather, wings,
Another one over there,
and then
too.
some gold for you. Boop. Thank you for the boops het. Bam, boom, bingles, wing, bing. There we go. Arrow of something or other. Arrow of solving cures your target of poison, paralysis, and blindness. A bloodstone and some gold.
I'm gonna give it a short rest too, because we need it.
Yep, fair enough. Scroll of Stone Skin. Turns a creature's flesh hard as stone. It only takes half the damage of all non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slash. Nice.
Time for me to pass out. Have a good one, Esteban.
Have a good one, Esteban.
Don't see anything else here,
Scroll
so we
of
want to head
Fire
down.
Shield. Wreath your body in flames that shed light in a 3-meter radius, providing resistance to fire or cold damage, and retaliate against melee attacks. Sounds good. These are some interesting thingamadoogies. Another Crown of Madness.
Really?
Yeah, reallys. Reallys. Did you not pick up the gold from the second gilded chest? Alright, fine.
No, I didn't even know that you left it there. I thought you had passed it to me.
Nah, I left it there, sorry. Alright, there. Alright, I picked it up. There we go.
Alright, here on the thingo.
Yep, alright.
Shot, get on.
Hey, good looking.
Grab Karlak and pop her on.
Saddle up.
What to do? One day I'll catch a break.
Mm-hmm.
Ah! Stephen Wolf, thank you for the raid. How are you? Welcome in.
Do you want me to wait a little quick minute before we do go into this thing?
No. It's just one person.
Okay.
But just a quick hello, howdy doodies. For those of you coming in, my name's Code. I hope you're all doing well. I'm a big blue diner from all the way down under. I'm here with Grant. We're doing some Baldur's Gate 3.
For the scalpel indeed is an extension.
I'm Grant.
See how the patient reacts when I but stroke the right nerve. Hear its comfort, hear the very melody of mercy.
He's in pain.
Pray, sister, show us the extent of your beneficence.
Okay. Also, did he mention Shah?
I don't know.
Stop. Stay your hand, for it slaps where it should.
Oh my god. Oh, it's Stephen Wolf. Somehow they raided into you, and then they raided into me next.
Perhaps it is our unexpected audience that makes you quiver. Come, step forward. You are no sister, but that matters none. Every student is welcome.
A student, yes. Do please enlighten me.
Absence. No other word captures the heart of Shah so very perfectly. It is the scalpel-led journey that leads from pain to peace.
Ow!
Ow!
What the fuck is this loon talking about?
Thank you, Karlak. Karlak.
By the way, oh, he plucked out his eyeball!
Oh, that's why he was like, pick.
That causes one to witness the laceration of being.
Absolutely terrible.
If light is the symptom, then darkness is the cure. For in light there is presence, but in darkness there is absence.
There's presence, in darkness, absence.
That's weird.
You are well on your way, but one white orb disfigures you still. Let us finish the cure.
Oh, he's talking about my eyes.
Yeah, I kind of want to keep them, thank you.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna F5 this. Damn it, I probably should have worn the circuit thing, because I get a -1 to my intelligence. You would think...
Oh!
You would think that fucking Shadowheart would just, like, sort of lean over and be like, hey, the teachings of Shah are the following.
You remember a Sharon maxim. Go forth and sow doubt, but do not compel it, for only the willing may know the lady's embrace.
Only the willing may know the lady's embrace. You know her teaching well. And yet these sisters must exercise their gifts, for the art of absence lies in its execution.
Oh, great.
How to proceed? I wonder.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, you would need to roll a 20 outright.
There is misdirection in... Sisters!
The scalpel soothes. Come sing its song. We would hear your melody of mercy.
Oh. Oh, and he's getting bigger.
Oh, shit.
That's why they asked me to save ahead of time. Acolyte did my homework. Thank you, Shadowheart, for feeling inspired. Wait, is the guy still alive? Hang on.
Yeah, he's still alive.
In surgery. Unable to move while strapped on the operating gurney. He's got... Oh my gosh, this is great. Alright.
Maybe we don't want to do anything that's going to deal splash damage. I'm going to go up here so I can get a height advantage on these.
Alrighty then, sounds good.
Now I can see this fight. Oh, did you not get this fight, Angel?
Ooh.
Surgeon's will is my honor.
Alright, so what does
Surgeon's chosen. Carrying the implement requested by the surgeon to complete the surgery.
Alright. Alright, does he take damage from Radiant? He's fire resistant, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing when it's non-magical. So... Maul can multi-attack if his hit points are 40 or less.
I mean, come on. That's the only thing I'm good at.
Too bad.
Why everyone gotta be resistant to fire when I just want to watch the world burn?
I'm gonna try this Radiant niche. God damn it.
Yep, I had a different result.
Woo!
Ooh, damn. Would you be able to tell us what your result was that you had, Engrel?
Still yourself.
Oh, he handed her a bone sword.
Interesting.
So only if you want. All right, Grant, would you want to hear what result he got?
Yeah, I'm a little curious. Wouldn't it be
creative
like to hear it as well. If darkness was the cure once? Well, that's technically the cure in the first compared to the source in Final Fantasy XIV. If you want to be extra pedantic. Ooh, you know what you should do? Use your use the mace's magic sun thingy-majiggy in this line.
Yeah, I could do that. Let me first summon my weapon.
Will you be able to do your weapon if you do the spell?
Should be.
Okay.
The weapon's a bonus action.
Alrighty then.
It is going to damage Karlak.
All right, let's see what happens. Nice.
I mean, they're blinded, so not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Look, Kobold, there's so much man on screen. How am I supposed to watch the game?
You just ignore him, Kobold. You just need to ignore the man. Focus on the game.
How could you ignore
Zoom
all
in
of this?
if you have to.
You know, how could you ignore all of this and all of this? You know, how could you ignore all of that?
Easily. All right. Your spiritual.
There we go. See, more belly there. See, there we go.
Yeah. All right. Your spiritual weapon needs to do something.
Oh, and turn. Sorry.
How do you like your high ground?
Very helpful. Ah, crap. I didn't think I could burn the spiritual weapon. That's my bad.
Nah, you're good. Lol, the spiritual weapon has a pixie's blessing as well. Alrighty, so I'm confused right now. But I get an advantage on my next thingy-majiggy. Alright, here we go. Let's try this. Oh, he's got like 200. Okay, hang on a second. Let me just get rid of you. And then flurry of blows.
Yeah, I'd say our main focus should be his sisters and then get rid of him.
A syringe. Oh, I barely had any on me. All right, we got this bone saw.
Open up.
And shove. The radiant orb above Karlak isn't going to do too well. Darn you, Janine.
Ow, you bitch.
Ow.
Alright,
Thank you for the heals.
I figured that was the best option.
It probably was. Spiritual weapon.
I mean, I suffer burn damage, but even suffering burn damage, I can still throw a fireball.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
With heat.
Alright.
And it increases my heat. It increases my fireball damages.
Alright, what's he gonna do?
So it is a bit of a two-edged sword.
Your wish guides my hand.
Behold, the leech for draining humus most foul.
Not great. Radiant orb helps.
Fortunately, I can't really go that far. Can I hit him from here? Yes, I can.
Alrighty, let's try. Yeah!
On the floor you go, bitch.
Oh, god damn it.
Too much to bear.
I thought it was enough to just push him and he'd go for someone else, but I guess not.
No, you got a hard on for you.
What a waste.
Damn. Nice roll of attacks you had done there.
Two damage, or 2 health left. He was saved by the Sacred Flame thing. Just... Thank you for the healing. Darn.
God damn it, Hammer. What do I pay you for? With all of my fire resistance, though, too, if I can increase that up even further, like I'll get to a point where I'm not even gonna. I'll be immune to fire damage, essentially.
Could you stop focusing on me, please, Malice? You.
He got a hard on for you, doesn't he?
Fuck's sake. There we go. Cookie for Het.
Alright, you know what's gonna be useful here? Less, less, less.
I am going to need to drink a healing potion when I'm done. Bye, your spiritual weapon can do something. Alright, drink this.
Really, bitch?
Oh, he resurrects them.
Wait, so can Shadowheart. Damn it, I don't have a spell slot.
Let's try the laceration.
That hurt.
Nice.
I'll see about taking care of the nurse.
I can take care of her. You do your thing.
Alright, do you want to take care of the nurse or do you want to take care of the doctor?
I've
got more of a chance of hitting the nurse than I do the doctor.
Alright, I'll take care of the doctor then. Nice! He's stunned now. So now, like, we can just lay in on him. Oh, she's lethargic. How? Oh.
Ho ho!
Yay!
Kill the surgeon before he performs surgery on you in combat.
Nice. A surgeon's subjugation amulet. Once per long rest, when scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, the wearer can paralyze the target for 2 turns. Neat. A battered loot. Can you heal him? Like, can you cast a healing spell?
No, nothing. Wait, a battered loot, did you say?
Battered loot. A loot with the initials AC meticulously carved into the body.
That's what we need for the thingo, for the dude.
Alright, I'll give that to you.
Artificial leech. Ooh. And oh, I was just reading that.
It's a poison. Oh, I can unlock the restraints. Where is he going?
Where the fuck does he think he's running off to? I don't think he knows. He's blind.
Yeah, a surgery and a something. I can't be bothered reading all that.
Oh, there's a key.
Oh, another key. A painted chest.
To the chest.
Poisoner's gloves. Whenever you deal poison damage, the target needs to succeed a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned.
Noise. All right, do we want to head back to the last light inn? I think we need a bit of a long rest, though.
Hey, the key was used to unlock that door.
Oh, there's Raphael up there.
Up where? Like up the hill or down?
Up the hill.
Okay. Let's go talk to him.
Ketheric's dark justiciars from a bygone era.
Don't you want to bring Thingo in with us?
Oh, Asterion.
Yeah.
And the huntress. No match for them.
But like, you know, like we already have like Karlak who might have an interest in talking and with like dealing with devils and shit like that as well. Like,
yeah, but we knew that.
What was the recent thing that was mentioned? It was like, so wake up, find Zelor. There was something else. There was like, here it is, the Chosen of Shar. A great many dark Justicars seem to have perished while fighting near the graveyard. We must be drawing close to the place Shadowheart wishes. Okay, so we need Shadowheart with us. All right, fine. I'll get rid of Karlach. Karlach.
What's on your mind?
God, learn
Listen,
to pronounce
I'm never
the
going
name.
back. If you said I could die right now or live 1,000 years in the hell,
You want a banger,
don't
and yet you
expect
can't even pronounce
anyone
the
to
name properly.
understand that. But I've been dealt a hand most people don't have to contemplate playing. Soldier. Your support means I've got one less thing to worry about. That means a lot to me. You really are the best of the best. Of the best.
Aww.
Copper for your thoughts?
You'll need to stay in camp.
Oh, come on.
Looking at Karlach sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
You're such a child.
First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the sex, because you know they want to have it.
Yes.
I need you in my party.
Lead on.
Alright.
Don't want to draw any attention.
I keep pressing...
Watch your back.
Alright, let's have a look. What is Okay, Asterian's got a spare ring slot. Where... He's already got the ring that gives him invisibility. Let's give him the ring that gives him +1 armor when he's obscured. Helmet-wise... Nothing really important in the
Hang on,
helmets.
maybe I might have something. There's Absolute's Bane, which gives sleight of hand. What's he got on him?
Speedy reply. Nimble. When the wielder hits an enemy with the weapon, they gain momentum for 2 turns. And Knife of the Undermountain King was something I gave them recently because it was like a...
I meant glove-wise.
Oh, glove-wise, they just got normal leather gloves.
All right, we'll give them gloves. We'll give them the gloves of power then.
All right, you want to send them? Yep. Inflicts. Yep.
Elemental movement. Whenever the wearer deals any type of elemental damage with a spell or cantrip, they gain movement speed. That's more something for... And it's medium armor. Might not be all that useful.
Yeah. Boots, meanwhile, doesn't have a lot to offer. Let me just double check my chest in case I threw things in there that might have been
Misty
useful.
Step could be useful for him.
Give me a second.
Level 2 conjuration spell Misty Step.
Hang on.
And I've got Assassin's Touch.
Gloves of Dexterity. What dexterity is he? Oh yeah, his dexterity is already 17, so not much point.
Yeah.
Feign death between short rest.
That's all I've got, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I think it's just a case of, you know, me using... Alright.
I gave him the gloves, though, so you might want to put them on.
Yeah, he's got the gloves on.
Looking ahead.
You're gonna pet him? Pet the owl bear!
Poot him!
Poot him. Pet him, pet him, pet him, pet him, pet him.
Camp life seems to suit the young owlbear. His coat of feathers seems fuller. His eyes look bright and inquisitive.
Nice. Nice, 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 nice.
Where's the little girl, too, by the way? We need to inform her about her parents, don't we?
Oh, she's over with Withers.
No.
I think she asked, can I touch your head?
Hey, you. I made it. Easy peasy. You find Mum and Pops?
They've passed on, Arabella. Return to the cycle. I'm sorry.
No. I don't believe you. They'd never leave me. They promised. Get away from me. Go. Leave me alone.
Let me try.
Leave.
Yeah, okay.
Need to find a way forward.
If you can give her a hug, you give her a hug if you can.
Leave me alone.
No, can't help her.
Darn it. Okay.
Ah! Come dawn of new light, did the predators feast?
So there he is. Just...
Hang on, I'm talking to Withers about something. He's actually talking about
Love
love.
is no domain of mine, but it is often cited as the purpose of mortal life. Wherefore turns, and thus thou art alone.
Wow.
He's picking on me for having no bitches.
No bitches. No balls.
Hey, you ain't got no bitches yet.
Hey, she's not a bitch, okay? She's mommy, she's amazing. How dare you call her bitch? Oh, of course, you decide to take on the...
Oh, I didn't mean to
Our
activate
hero
cutscene.
thought but of treasure ahead, did not consider the peace of the dead. Through the dark, he went creeping.
Hi there, Baron
awoke
Rue.
What was sleeping? A new grave they dug, which he himself fed.
Man, don't you feel fucking cryptic?
How long have you been standing there?
Until it was perfect. I've grown quite fond of you, you know, in my way. I thought it only fair to warn you about the dangers ahead.
What dangers are those?
Oh, we both know they are soon to be revealed. It would be pointless of me to try to bar you from entering. But I can set the scene, as it were. Prepare you for your role.
Mm-hmm. Fine, paint me a picture.
There is a stage down in the dark upon which a great drama has suspended itself in time. Its actors dwell there still, mired in the languor of their long, tired scenes. If you, however, through the dark, go creeping and awake what is sleeping, chances are many more graves than yours alone will soon be fed.
Paint me a clear picture that... I'm gonna F5 that. Oh, favorable thingamadiggies. You're good. Give yourself guidance. There you go. Just don't roll a 1.
Ah!
Ah! Thank God you weren't rolling disadvantage.
Very well. There is a creature that lurks in silence and shadow. A creature who, like me, is very much of the infernal persuasion. Should it make its way out through the very doors you are about to brazenly swing open, you'll have unleashed a pestilence upon this realm.
Okay.
In truth, it is carnage incarnate. So if you meet the devil of which I speak, kill it. Consider no other course of action.
So, you're still only telling me half of what you really know. I can
Come on, Raffy baby, give me more.
You are doing so well with Raphael.
This creature and I go back a long way. I admit it would.
What do you think are the chances that he's calling it like a creature, but it's really just like the equivalent of an X?
Or misplace its head, perhaps? I should not relish its reacquaintance. Let's leave it at that.
Fair
You
enough.
have it in you to author a thrilling finale if you heed this warning. Do not underestimate this opponent. At best, you will have the blink of an eye to strike. Strike first, strike true, defy the odds, for they are distinctly in its favor. That much I owe the bastard to concede. After all, if there is one rule I hold dear, it's that one must always give the devil his due.
No, I don't think his lip syncing was anything off.
Nah, I didn't feel it.
No.
Also, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. It's okay. It was probably better that you did it, considering you had all the the wisdom and the intelligence thingamadiggies to help you, and I wasn't wearing
That might be worth a look.
That one I'll scrounge up.
These are all Graves' saloon, by the looks of it.
Yeah, all the dark Justicars. Many of these are Graves. Saloonite robes, light armor. Send it to Shadowheart just to piss her off. Crescent Moon, send that to Shadowheart.
Dark Justiciars, who fell long ago in service of Shah and Catherine.
Alright, let's go back to the last light thingamadiggy.
Yeah, good idea.
So then that way we can, help out with Halsin's quest, and then we'll go back. Oh, it's literally across the river. Yeah, there it is.
Also,
bam.
Mystic, why you dropping anvils on my head, Mystic?
Who knows?
Mystic, why you be so mean?
Burning through our oil, but it should just about.
I wonder if I can get something made with the infernal What's Mahoozies?
Oh no. Oh, are you about to do some stuff over there? I'll wait for you to do your thing first.
Alright, give me a second. Give me a second.
Nowhere's safe from
Because
this
this game,
If you need something sharp,
the
I have a
game
few
Rumble
things
Rose
left.
gave me the ideas for drawings. Oh, have you ever played Rumble Rose, Grant?
Rumble Rose? No, that's a person's name, I swear.
No. Rumble Rose. It's an all-female fighting game. That's got wrestling themes to it. One of the characters is a ninja that turns into a frog that'll literally eat the other
I'll be here
characters.
if you need anything else.
What? Alrighty, I am done talking. You go talk.
I will show you later.
Show.
Daniel and me are climbing up a tree.
He
I haven't
keeps
played the
saying
game in
Daniel's
so long.
name.
I can't.
He
You know, I
must
haven't.
know more. We need
Frog,
to rouse
she
him.
summons it. Yeah, she summons the frog.
I found a loot.
Good. Its music might help restore him. Show it to him.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Ta-da!
Daniel! He's still trapped there. He needs help.
Ooh.
Calm. Breathe. You've been
How dare
trapped
you
in the
get my
Shadowfell for a
favorite
century.
characters. Well, I forgot,
Take a moment to
okay?
clear your mind.
A century? Shit.
You're Halsin. Daniel said to
Jesus
find
Christ, I thought he was
you
only
must
gone
help
for a bit.
Please.
I will, but I need to know where Thaniel is. If I venture into the Shadowfell blind, I will never find him.
I'm not sure I can put it into words. The landscape there shifts and changes.
Is there anything you know off the gun, something that didn't change?
Lavender. Whenever I saw Thaniel, I always smelled lavender.
I can work with that. Rest now.
I do love
Meet me
lavender.
by the lakeshore. I have what we need to proceed, but I'll need your help. Be ready. This may prove perilous.
Anvil to power between his biceps. I can crush an anvil between my biceps. Look at Code's just fat. Look at him.
Hey, I'm not. If you're actually looking at the real me, I got big old round chesticles. I got big old round pecticles. Brandon's just jelly. My pecticles are bigger than his pecticles.
Look at him.
He's just jealous.
Alright, can we do a long rest? I'm nearly dead.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's do that first. He ain't fat. He got lots of hug space. Yeah, hug space.
Why are you naked? Also, why is the pouch just... Heavy Spiked Club, the diary of... Oh, it's...
I mean, if you want me to be naked, I can be naked.
I don't need you to be naked.
This is how I sleep now.
I refuse to
can't
look.
Stop me.
I refuse to look.
You will see. You will all see.
Oh my god, passenger! Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. I am right now going through Baldur's Gate 3 because it is D&D Night. Joining me for D&D Night is Kode the Yoshi.
Yayo.
Did you say Gale?
No, I said ayo.
Heyo. I thought you said Gale.
No, I wouldn't say gayo. That's gayo.
Alright, leave camp.
I said, hey yo. Look, there he is. His name is Gayo.
After all, you're my
wonder
wall.
Hey, let me talk to Halsin. If this is a Halsin-based quest.
Yeah, okay, you go talk to Halsin.
Please listen, spank you.
Watch as I say psych and I do the conversation for him and he gets disappointed.
Watch as I yo.
What did you find? Oh, okay.
I don't know what I found. I wasn't even paying attention. What did we find? Was it something?
You found a dirt mound.
All right, I'll let you open that dirt mound first. I wasn't even paying attention.
You failed, but Shadowheart discovered it. Crystals, a rock, a fang, and some gold. So just some alchemy nonsense. Alrighty then.
Ready?
Yeah. All right. You do your thing.
Dedicated by, distracted by Daddy Bear. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Distracted by this fucking giant ass fucking dilf.
Now we can begin.
Actually, he's more like a gilf. He's really old, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thaniel is trapped in the Shadowfell, but thanks to your efforts, I know where to look. Now I must go there, alone.
Why ask us here then?
No. This opportunity has been 100 years in the making. It has to be me. And only me. But I didn't bring you here to witness an old druid's grandstanding. You have a part to play in this, and I trust you will play it well. With the Oakfather's blessing, I can infiltrate the Shadowfell, but doing so will sap my strength. I'll need your help if I'm to return. I need you to stay here, keep the portal open until I return, and defend it at all costs.
Defend it? What do you mean?
The shadows won't be banished without a fight. Once I open the portal, they'll swarm like carrion birds and try to destroy it. You must not.
Damn it, Benru!
Haha.
Let's
my
begin.
head's too strong. Anvils don't
Whatever
affect me like
happens, do not attempt to enter the portal, and do not let anything interfere with it. It took me years of study, of seeking the Oakfather's favor, to find a way to part the veil. Pray that this works.
He's gonna do something and it's gonna break.
Oakfather, hear me. Aid me. Force open the jaws of darkness. Make passage for your vessel of light. It's ready. I'll return with Thaniel as soon as possible. Stay close to the portal. Buy me what time you can.
So, Code can take an anvil, but can't carry Elephant Mario. Hey, Elephant Mario is a different problem altogether.
Alright. Oh, it's shadows.
Alright, we ready?
Hope your soul is in good hands.
Everyone out of the way.
Yeah, I'm out of the way. Just
no way in hell I'm letting you guys near my daddy.
Shadow Cursed Harper. Missed.
Wall of Fire was broken for this fight. Ah, good idea.
Nice.
Good shot.
To the death.
Ooh, Shadow Misties. Do you have a scroll to do a Wall of Fire?
I don't need a scroll. I have the actual Wall of Fire spell.
Oh, nice.
But I think first thing we're going to need is the hammer. Let's pop him over here.
Nice.
And I think Guardians is probably not a bad idea to have two with radiant damage.
Nice. Code is a big, huggable, chunky man. I'm assuming you meant big and not bug.
Yeah, I think he meant big.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Yeah, probably why they wanted to do the wall of fire, so then that we could deal with ranged. Hammer time! Was that you?
Oh shit. Nope, this is gonna be me. That should keep them away for a little bit.
The Wraith is like 6 damage, by the by. 6 health.
I am gonna quicken spell. I'll get Astarion to. Oh crap! One of us needs to deal with it, don't we?
Ooh. He's red.
Pocket.
Nice work.
I've missed this.
Get everyone to stay on this side of the flames. We'll do that.
Not a problem.
Grant, would you still love Code if he was a worm?
No, I don't love him now. You're just a friend.
You love your friends?
I like my friends. I don't love my friends. What kind of... That's fucking ridiculous.
Pull the lever.
How dare you pull the lever on me, Zarek?
There's no dead knee here to animate, and I don't think it's... Yeah, it's gotta be... Yeah, it's gotta be within touching range.
Problem.
No, Bless is gonna do jack shit. You know what? Let's light some shit up.
Nice. Good work. Yeah, this is why Astarion is on this side.
Yeah, take those archers out as soon as possible.
It looks like there's 2 of them to deal with. Mastiffs don't hold arrows, by the by.
Yeah, but I can't move the hammer.
Oh, you can't?
Even with flying, he'll still take... Oh, no. I should have actually flown. Never mind. That was my stupid. Alright, I'm going to put another wall around here. Actually, I think a fire.
This is what
fire fucking rocks.
Especially because everything here is just like weak sauce. Oh my goodness. This is so silly. Oh my gosh. Ow, fuck you.
You know what? Oh crap, I can't cast Wall of Fire again. But I can cast Wizard Time, motherfucker!
Breathe deep and move.
Do I have potion speed? Damn it, I can't drink it at the moment. Dang it. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Time for a cull.
Alright, we've still got plenty of turns. Portal's got plenty of health. See, I don't think this fight would have gone as good as it did if we didn't have something like this.
Yep, fair enough. Oh my god!
How dumb can they get?
This is probably why it's so good, is because the wall of fire isn't like a, oh, it's a blocking path thing. Honestly, Angrel, best advice so far. Nice. Thank you.
Oh, plus it gives bless. Interesting. I mean, they're shadows. They aren't smart. True enough.
Yep. Alrighty. Bonk.
We just need to get rid of those two with the, really...
Maybe I should have done the Misty Step.
Shit.
Oh no, probably a good idea that I stayed on that side. I can sense Halston. Oh, someone made it through. Nice work. Oh, concentration broken. Give me a second. Scroll of Burning Hands.
Let me see what I've got.
Fire Shield, Stone Skin.
I've got Fire Shield. Burning Hands, Gaseous Form.
It's a shame they broke your concentration like that. Thank you for the hyper himbo, Ingrol.
That's the best I can do.
Fair enough.
Wait, didn't the Gith Yankee just come up here and die as well? Aha!
You're gonna resurrect a Gith Yankee.
Not enough space. Oh, dang it, because you're in the way. Are you able to jump back over to you? Oh, no, because you can't end your turn. Never mind. Get rid of the raid.
2 turns remaining.
Oh, I can heal the portal.
Nice. Hammer. Oh boy. Well, Guardian is doing some job.
Okay, that helped.
There's blood in the air.
This is gonna help.
Blood comes easy these days.
This target can't be reanimated. Oh, because they're already dead.
Well, they fell over.
I can't do more than that, sorry.
That's okay.
The dance macabre.
The dance macabre. What the fuck is the dance macabre?
I don't know, whatever the dance macabre is. Doesn't he still have a bow you can use as well?
That is true, but I'm busy. This is very important busy work right now.
Are you? Of course you are.
What?
You're plundering.
It's important, okay? We don't know if the corpses are gonna disappear.
Do the corpses ever disappear?
We don't know yet. We do not know. Oh my god, there's so many things here. Alright, the task at hand, and then...
Dance Macabre is the dance of death.
Ah, okay.
Well, I kind of figured since it's Macabre, which means death. Are you done looting corpses?
Alright, fine, I'll just...
It's done. I have him.
Oh, the boy's alive. Thank you for the hyper himbo, by the by. Who did it? Oh, Angro did. I still have it, but then Xerix has gone and de-himboed me.
Wrong. Dreadfully wrong. No. It can't be.
The boy's dead, isn't he?
Yes. I'll bring him back to camp. He'll be safest with us. I need to examine him. I need to understand what's wrong. It's almost like something's missing from him. Come see us when you can.
Kode.
To camp I go!
Oh, the corpse is still here.
Oh, look at that! The corpses are still there!
I wasn't sure if they weren't.
All's well that ends. Not as bad as it could have.
Alright, I'm gonna suffer some fire damage for a little bit.
Stab.
Man, the zealots had plate armor. Boop. Thank you for the boops.
Hey, chat, do you think I should walk around like this for the entirety of the thing just to mess with Grant?
Please don't.
Don't know what? I wasn't planning on anything.
You were asking chat for things.
Not saying no, yep. I love you guys. You're the best.
Hey, I can make a potion of greater healing. Nice.
Alright, I'll wait for you before I talk to Halson.
Alrighty then. Oh.
While you rob all of those poor people blind.
Also, someone is just standing there, like, ready to go to town.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Might be one of the Gift Yankee that didn't actually die. They might be stuck there.
Alrighty, you want to go talk to Halson? Is he in camp, or is he,
Yeah, he's in camp. Daddy!
Ah.
Daniel is resting, but it's no easy slumber. I discovered what's wrong with him.
No, I can't wiggle my nose.
The shadows rended him in two when they bore him away to the Shadowfell. Half of his essence remained here, amidst the curse. What stayed behind would have been the strongest part of him. But after all these years left in the darkness, corruption must have taken hold. Perhaps, if we can find Thaniel's lost half and make him whole again. Only the missing half may not come willingly. The curse will have sunk its tendrils deep twisting Thaniel's essence into something else. No matter how it's been twisted by the shadows, it is still part of Thaniel's essence. It will resemble him somehow and may show signs of his power. Look for signs of life in the darkness, wildflowers where everything else is dead. The curse cannot subdue the power Thaniel bears. Not entirely.
In fact, I saw just the sort before, not long after we first came within reach of the shadow curse. Fool that I am, I did not grasp their significance at the time. There is a ruin some way outside of Last Light. I caught a glimpse of fresh blooms there, but did not investigate further. I shall mark it upon your map.
Nice.
This doesn't have to be your burden alone. Every moment counts, and I've asked much of you already without being at your side. If you want me, I'm yours. Against the curse, against the absolute... anything. Just say the word. I'll be ready.
Shadowheart! Come here, bitch!
Well, I want to go to the ruins thingy-majig. Do you want me to... I'll drop off Astarion. I'll pick up Shadowheart, and then we'll go to, like, the thing that Raphael was like, oh, be careful of the beast.
Something?
I think it's better if you stay in camp and while.
I think we should do the journey separately. Sorry, I need my man with me. I need my man!
Shadow, do you know what? She loves me. She must do. Lady Shah wouldn't bless me like this for no reason. There must be something she wants of me.
Thank you for...
Those signs we found about Dark Justiciars. Perhaps they were no coincidence. In either case... Lady of Sorrows, guide us. Did you want something? All right, some company would...
There we go.
If everyone else minds their business, I'll be fine.
Thaniel still suffers. There'll be no improvement until his essence
The Gilf is mourning, Code, and you're going to ask him on your little date?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah!
This is beyond all reckoning.
Look at this is what happens to a man.
Now our roots can deepen
thirsting
together.
Look at him.
Gimme my man after midnight. Okay.
Was that Cher or ABBA that was like the...
I don't need any attention right now.
Don't know.
I wonder what the next move is.
I love how I've given her like Sailor Knight shit.
Alright, I'm gonna actually reset his thingo. Because I've got a build in mind for him that I want to do. So where is Withers?
You seriously not? Oh my goodness.
Where did Withers go to? Oh, there he is. The little girl's still with him too.
I'll go this way. I'd better do the talking.
Halsin's proved himself a fine ally already. He'll be useful in battle, if those tree trunk arms are an indication.
Tree trunk arms. Did you hear that?
Whoa!
What? What?
The little girl just chucked a hissy fit.
Listen! Dost thou not hear it? Where creation meets ruin, where morning meets midnight, the root of all being.
She is learning things.
Balance.
They're dead! I can't! Balance.
Your very soul is tangled in shadow. Arabella's magic, wild as cursed briar. Her talent is now yours, too.
Where will she go, then?
The weave knows her purpose. It will guide her plainly, if she listens. Arabella holds a power beyond reckoning. That of the decaying forest and the seedling that bore it. But it is unbalanced. Her yoke is already heavy. If she walks thy path, it will surely break. Arabella will depart once thou dost leave these accursed lands. She will find her way safely. Thus, it is fated.
Bowman, you're making me leave.
Fear not, girl. Abandon not the weave, and it shall not abandon thee.
Isn't Withers like an avatar of death? Like, can't he just be in multiple places at once?
I don't know. You can trust Withers. If he says you'll be safe, you should believe him. I mean, honestly, there's been no... Withers has not given us any doubt or reason to doubt him.
There is a lightness in her now, veiling the power within.
What the hell?
Soothing it.
Did he just gaslight her?
Is that my future? Is that why they died?
It is.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Bowman, for being nice. If there are people like you around, perhaps everything will be all right.
What the hell did she see?
That's what I want to know.
Shadow Blade, a level 2 illusion spell. Nice.
Alright, so
Need to keep
Druid.
So you're going to be redoing his stat line.
Yeah, not changing any of his...
You know he's at level 1, right?
Yes.
He started at level 1, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. 10, 14, 14, 15, 17, 12... No, he went to level 2 straight away, because I wasn't able to pick his starting thing.
Oh.
So...
Does it matter what his starting thing is, though?
Yes. Because I want Acid Spray.
Alright, well I can't
Poison
see
Spray
what it
and
is you're
Thorn
looking
Whip.
at.
Those are the two I want for start off.
Okay.
And then we go from there.
Level up.
So now he gets all of his wild shapes.
Yep.
Choose Circle of the Moon subclass, which we've got.
Uh-huh.
Prepared spells we can deal with in a little bit. Because all the spells he gets are spells that, you know, he has normally.
Yep.
So we go next.
So, 2 class features.
Mm-hmm. And he gets all these spells.
Alright.
So these are all spells he can learn that I can sort of clock onto him later on.
Alright.
And class features, spell slot. This is level 4.
Gains a cantrip and a new feat.
Pick guidance for the cantrip. Improve your wisdom score by 2. So ability points. Improve wisdom score. Lots of spells he's got, doesn't he?
Quite a lot.
So 5 additional attacks while in wild shape.
Mm-hmm.
Primal Strike, Panther, Owlbear.
Ooh.
One spell slot, immunity to difficult terrain, Panther, Owlbear shape unlocked. Level 7, jeez, going up. Have we... Oh, well, another level. Oh, no, that's all of them.
Nice.
Alright, so...
That's everything?
Yep, so I just want to do his...
These things have stayed interesting.
Spells that he should have.
Vigilance.
You find more useful with this build's playstyle. Ice Knife, Cure Wounds, Healing Ward, Fairy Fire, and Tangle.
Yes, I was like rocking back and forth, just doing that autistic rocking, where I'm just sort of like, yep.
So we've got only a few spells.
Let's go. We got a fight to do.
Let's see. Start at level 1. Entangle, that's probably not a bad one. Create a vine surface slowing down creatures. Why is Speak with Animals not an already selected spell? I mean, that should be one that you should know without having to worry about it. I mean, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be one of those types of spells you would think, oh, well, that's a spell I don't need to really prepare. Healing Words is is a spell that he uses pretty much all the time. So that's fine. So that one, move that over here. That down here. Entangle.
A savvy move recruiting else into our cause. While I'm adept at most forms of weave manipulation, druidic magic is not my area of expertise. He will make for a most useful option to have in reserve.
Fairy Fire do. All attacks within the light turn
Karsus.
Visible, and attack rolls
Karsus
against
was
them have
perhaps the
advantage.
most powerful wizard that ever lived. The child who would be a god, the elves called him. And he tried. With a spell of his own devising, he endeavored to usurp in one fell swoop
he's already
the power of the goddess
word,
of magic.
But then there's
she was
Cure
called then.
Wounds.
Imagine what it must have felt like
5 to 8.
to be a god.
But then we can do mass Cure
to know
Wounds
yourself,
as well,
to be untouchable.
One thing that we get.
To be mistaken. As Karsus aimed his spell at her, she began to unravel, and with her,
Moonbeam,
the entire weave. Too late did he realize what he had unleashed. It would have been the end of everything had not Mistral sacrificed herself. The goddess of magic is all magic. By dying, the entire weave was lost, and the spell that challenged a god failed. It was the end of Mistral, the end of Karsus, and the end of an entire civilization. As the child who would be a god was turned to stone, his empire came crashing down around him. The floating cities of Netheril were no more. An event that came to be known as Karsus's folly.
Wall of Fire I've got, so...
We can always have him hold it, so then that way we have a second guy who can do it.
Freedom of movement. Snap an ally out of any stun, default, difficult terrain.
Mistra.
Yep, that one's useful.
Upon her return, the weave returned with her. Now, so many centuries later, I try to follow in the footsteps of Karsus. Not to destroy Mistra.
Probably not a bad one to have
my
as
love
well.
for her.
Right.
Try to control only a fraction of the magic that was unleashed that fateful
And
day.
we might as well get Cure Wounds.
I merely sought to return one tiny diamond to an imperfect crown. Gale's folly, one might call it. History, repetition. It's the way things go.
So, healing stuff. Oh, he's also got Thunder Wave, too.
Yeah, Thunder Wave is a bit of a weirdy one.
Alright, so let's check his gear. So he doesn't really have much in the way of anything all that great. He's got a basic quarterstaff. I think I had some items in the traveler's chest that might work. Nature's Snare. Order of Nature. Undead creatures might as well. Wait, actually, can he use it though? Yes, he can. No. Whenever the wearer deals acid, cold, lightning, thunder, they gain movement. That could be useful while he's in wild shape.
What about Blood Guzzler Garb?
What does that do?
When the wielder is... When an enemy damages the wearer gains wrath for 1 turn. Adrenaline courses through their veins. They have a +1 bonus to damage with melee weapons.
No, because he doesn't have any benefits of not having... clothing armor or clothing on.
Oh, okay then.
Because his is medium armor, I think, being a druid.
What's his dexterity?
Charm. Hang on, let me have a look. Dex is 14.
Alright, dexterity gloves may be helpful, so then that way when he needs to do range, it's 18 instead of 14.
Alright, might as well.
Focus Stride. When you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn. While you are concentrating, you can't get knocked prone or be moved against your will. +1 in athletics.
Would be useful.
When healing another, the wearer gains 1d6 hit points. It's an uncommon head thing.
That's a good one. Send it over.
Alright, sent to Halson. The Watcher's Guide. When the spear misses its target, the wielder's next attack roll against the target gains True Strike. Spear, thrown, versatile.
I've got the Nature's Grasp, which is... although, what weapons can he wield as a... Martial weapons, simple weapons... Okay, so he's got proficiency in martial weapons, then. He's also got proficiency in light armor, medium armor, and shield.
Alright. Corleone's Grace. Gain +1 bonus to unarmed attack rolls and damage, while the wielder's not wearing armor. Oh, no, that's not helpful to them. Hi there, Elvirus.
I'm sure we'll find some gear that's best suited for him a little later on.
Yep, will do. Alright, let's get back into it.
Alright. Although it's been about 3 hours. If you want to go for another hour, or do you want to call it soon? Because I'm sure you've got work in the morning.
I do have work in the morning. Yeah, let's call it.
Yep. Well, I can probably take everyone over and do some more Final Fantasy.
Oh, you'll keep on going for a little bit longer then?
I might keep on going for a little bit longer.
Alrighty then. Well, I'll send them to you then, if that's alright then.
Send them over to me.
Alrighty then. Chad?
I have been eager to get through that last bit of Final Fantasy. I'm just like, I need to beat him. I want to beat his ass.
Anavarese paid me to say those ziddies are a natural 20. No need to reroll.
Wait. Yep, save. Thank you for reminding me before I just Alt F4 that nonsense. So, chat, thank you everyone who came along for D&D Night tonight. Next D&D Night, we might move back to Fridays, because, you know, that's our normal sort of D&D thingamadiggy. And hang on, why is my hands not doing the thing? That's annoying. Oh.
You're right.
Yep, no, I'm good.
What the hell happened there?
I don't know. Anywho's, so yeah, so it'll probably be like Friday night or something like that. Computer's just having a very fun time with this thing. Maybe it's just because it's going through a dock or something like that. But I'm gonna have all of you get raiding into Code the Yoshi. Sorry you slept through the rest of the stream. Not to worry, Furry Cures. I appreciate those who stick around and lurk. But yeah, I will be back online Saturday night for Final Fantasy XIV. I have to go through Endwalker content. I've got so much to go through with Endwalker. So
you were already up to end. You're already up to end content.
Sorry, not Endwalker. Fucking Shadowbringer. Sorry.
I was gonna say.
I was like,
come on, dude, slow down so I can catch up.
I still have 50 missions to go. All right. But yeah, let me get the raid started to Code the Yoshi's thingy-madiggy. Where is it? Code _ the Yoshi. There we go. And for everyone else, before I leave, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. Code, thank you for joining me for D&D Night, and I hope you have a wonderful time in Final Fantasy XIV.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be playing with you, Grant.
Awesome. Great to hear. Alrighty then. I am raiding into your team.
Yeah.